In this video, I'm going to go through the Republican tax bill that was just released by the House Ways and Means Committee. It is a whopping 400 pages long, and they actually call it the One Big Beautiful Bill, which is kind of amusing. That's what Trump described it as. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to go through some of the key points for you. We will most importantly see if the rumored DOGE checks are in there. And since this is coming from the text of the actual bill, this isn't just rumors anymore. These things most likely will pass, maybe with a few tweaks here and there. Hey, financial warriors, welcome to the show. My name is Ben Hedges, aka the Credit Shifu, and on this channel, I cover credit and personal finance. If you like the sound of that, please subscribe. But otherwise, let's get into the video. So let's start going through all of the things in the bill, and I will be mostly working from this additional document from the Ways and Means Committee that explains the bill, since it's much clearer to show you the information there than in the actual bill in most cases. So the first thing that the tax bill does is extend the tax rates from the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And the thresholds where each tax rate kicks in will increase a little bit, adjusted for inflation. So in 2026, if this bill hasn't passed, your tax rates will look like this column on the left. But if the bill passes, they will be what you see in the right column, which is what they are for 2025. They're set to expire at the end of the year, so it is kind of a race against time to get this thing passed. So you can see people who are currently paying 12%, it would go up to 15% if it doesn't pass. 22% would return to the previous 25%, and the top rate of 37% would revert to the previous 39.6%. Now let's look at the standard deduction. So in the left column is what it will revert to if this bill does not pass, and in the right column is what it will be in 2026 if the bill passes. And if we compare that to 2025, in 2025 it was $15,000 for single filers, $30,000 for joint filers, and that is going to increase, adjusted for inflation, to $16,300 for single filers and $32,600 married filing jointly. We then have the extension and increase of the child tax credit, so this would return to $1,000 per year per kid if the previous Trump tax cuts expire. But if this passes, it will not only be extended beyond 2025, but it will be increased from $2,000 now to $2,500 per kid in 2026. And that one is temporary, running until 2028. Then we have an increase in the deduction for qualified business income from pass-through businesses like LLCs, partnerships, and S corps. This bill would increase the deduction from 20% to 23%. In other words, after your standard deduction and other deductions, another 23% of your business income you won't be taxed on. Next, we have an increase in the SALT deduction. SALT stands for state and local taxes, and that is going from $10,000 to $30,000. And this is the amount of your state and local taxes that you can deduct against your federal tax bill. Now, this only really affects a small number of rich people in high tax states and people who own a lot of personal real estate. So I'm not going to go into this too much, but for the people this does affect, your cap will go to $30,000, and that will be permanent. All right, let's move on to two more provisions, and then we will talk about DOGE checks. No tax on tips. This was a campaign promise, and it is in the bill. But it only applies to cash tips, which personally I feel is very disappointing. I mean, maybe for certain occupations, cash tips are more common. All right, I can think of a few occupations where cash tips are very common, but for the average restaurant server these days, a lot of tips are going to be added onto your credit card payment, so they would still be taxed. So with this one, I'm actually pretty disappointed. I think a lot of people who receive cash tips already don't pay tax on them. They just don't report them. So really all this does is just allow those people to report those tips as income on their tax returns and not be taxed on it. So on paper, they appear to earn more money, which will help them when applying for mortgages and loans, since they now have a higher income, so a higher debt to income ratio. But that is all. I think personally that it should be no tax on any type of tips, electronic or cash. Let's now look at no tax on overtime, which was another campaign promise and another thing that I'm disappointed about. So it is no tax on overtime, but it's only no tax on the premium paid for overtime hours, okay? For example, if you're paid $15 per hour normally, but time and a half for overtime, so 15 plus half of that, $7.50, is going to be $22.50 per hour, well, you would still be taxed on $15 each hour, but you would get the extra $7.50 tax-free. It is still a positive change, but I don't think this is what most people imagined when they thought of no tax on overtime. So in my opinion, it's still disappointing based on what was promised. Now, there are a few more provisions, like an extra $4,000 deduction for seniors. I think this is how they're doing the no tax on Social Security thing that was promised, just giving them an extra deduction. No tax on car loan interest, and many other things that benefit specific groups of people. But now let's talk about the issue that I know a lot of people are interested in. With all the talk of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, sharing its savings with the people in the form of DOGE stimulus checks, is there a provision for DOGE checks in the bill? Well, the answer unfortunately is no. I am pretty disappointed about that too. However, this bill comes from the House Ways and Means Committee, so maybe that will be something added if Trump requests it. However, it's only likely to get added at his request, since lawmakers don't seem to be that bothered about it, and thus if Trump doesn't make that request, then I doubt that it will happen. So for that part, we'll have to wait and see. But the bill in total does seem positive. It does reduce everyone's taxes through the many different provisions. I have 2 kids, so I'm glad to see an increase in the child tax credit. That saves me $1,000 a year. Then since I have an S-Corp, the increase in the qualified business deduction from 20% to 23% benefits me too. And just the general increase in the standard deduction and tax brackets benefits me as well. Let me know in the comments what benefits you and what you like about the bill. And if you want to get up to 60 free stocks and 8.1% APY on your uninvested cash when you open a new account with Moomoo, do check them out in the link down below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.